Part 4. You will hear part of a lecture about a Japanese museum comprised mainly of underground space. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
For the last few sessions, we've been looking at the different architecture for both their utilitarian purposes and aesthetic features as well. In today's lecture, I want to continue this series by first introducing to you a unique underground museum in Japan. And then we'll discuss the pros and cons of underground architecture. Now, this museum was built in 1996, and around 80% of the museum is buried underground to preserve the lush natural beauty. It houses an impressive collection of artworks. The exhibits consist of works from ancient civilizations, including the Egyptians, Romans, and various Asian cultures, with the pieces mainly coming from the founder's private collection. But perhaps the most intriguing aspect of the museum is the design of its structures and how they are integrated into their natural surroundings. The museum is humbly embedded in mountains, close to a subway station connecting the nearest metropolis in about an hour. The design was inspired by an ancient Chinese story titled Peach Blossom Valley. The architect read it when he was a schoolboy. It is about a fisherman who loses his way and his boat carries him upstream. He is drawn into a cave by the fragrant scent of a forest of blossoming peach trees. After travelling through a narrow road behind the cave, the man finds an idyllic village amid the splendid view. The museum has been conceived as a real-world version of this village. Visitors must pass through a tunnel first and then a cable bridge suspended over a gorge before arriving at the museum. The museum's details reflect the designer's innovative endeavour to break new ground. The architect changed the design numerous times to ensure the building was in harmony with the natural landscape. It becomes evident as tourists walk around the building as the detail is very fastidious and makes for a unique experience. Once visitors enter the museum, a sloping roof made of wide expanses of glass draws their attention right away. The web-like structure filtered the light through and scattered it across the surface, making visitors feel like being outside with a vibrant backdrop of seasonal colours. It is now clear that underground buildings have many advantages over traditional above-ground houses, and many architects are looking into the possibilities of this type of subsurface structure. The most important advantage of these houses, especially in the current scenario of environmental degradation, is that they can better preserve indigenous flora and fauna. But the advantages of underground architecture go beyond that. For one thing, The earth surrounding the homes absorbs noise and thus provides natural soundproofing, creating a quiet living space with privacy. Choosing an underground house will be peaceful and calming, even in a noisy region. Moreover, there is less part of underground houses that can catch fire. For the most part, wood is no longer needed for building a home underground. The concrete foundations and metal structures of these homes all ensure good fireproofing. Now, underground houses also have the potential to save energy in the long run, as they can tap the Earth's heating or cooling power. The Earth's temperature doesn't vary as much as the temperature of the air outside. It ensures that even though the climate outside fluctuates between extremes, the conditions inside the subterranean homes remain more or less stable. However, there are also concerns over earth-sheltered homes. There may be a psychological adjustment needed for a person shifting from a traditional above-ground house to an underground house. Many people feel there is insufficient space in underground buildings, but in fact, these people also admit that they often visit shopping centres located in the basement and did not feel claustrophobic. In addition, underground houses cannot be built in regions experiencing flooding due to their unique geographical location. And even for areas that are suited for underground structures, drainage should be planned carefully to prevent moisture retention. While the advantages far outnumber their drawbacks, it may be a good idea to wait a little longer for these houses to come mainstream.
That is the Part 4. You will hear part of a lecture about a Japanese museum comprised mainly of underground space. First, you have
Now, I would like to ask you some questions about yourself. Have you ever learned geography?
Yes, absolutely. I've learned geography before. I think this subject is useful for me to learn about different geographical destinations around the world and especially in my country, allowing me to understand the beauty of my country as well as understanding its cultural differences due to the differences in geography.
How do you like geography?
I enjoy learning geography because it is useful for me to understand the differences in my people's personality because of the geographical locations. Apart from that, I can explain the difference between people lifestyles. Finally, thanks to geography, I can give a deeper appreciation to the beauty of my country and the world.
Do you want to be a geography teacher?
Absolutely no. The reason is because I'm not good at geography, even though I appreciate this benefit of this subject. I am aware of my weaknesses when it comes to this subject.
What did you often do at home as a child?
When I was a child, I used to learn a variety of subjects. There are 12 subjects in total. I remember feeling overwhelmed by the amount of time that I have to spend on the subjects. After all, I believe that when I was a child, I was a really hardworking student.
Would you like to stay at home a lot in the future?
Yes, absolutely. I determined that my future will be dedicated to my home because I want to exploit the online spaces to the ultimate, including my work and my life, because I want to put everything online. I believe that this will be the future of the next generation and of my work.
What is it that makes you feel impatient?
I think that mischievous students are the reason that make me feel impatient. They make me frustrated because of their bad behavior and bad words. I cannot tolerate with their misbehavior. I wish that they could change themselves so as to become a better person who can fit with other people.
Do you often go out with your friends?
Yes, absolutely. I often go out with my friend. Hanging out with friends is a great way for me to relax and recharge my battery. Apart from that, staying at home may make me feel suffocated. So hanging out with my friends, socializing with them is a great way for me to change the environment and feel refreshed.
Where do you often meet each other?
I often meet my friend at the weekend because it is the only time for us to be free from our work and duty. Apart from that, we also spend the evening at the cafe or the bars, because they are the places that allow us to enjoy ourselves without worrying about anything in the world.
Now I am going to give you a topic and you will talk about it for 1 to 2 minutes. Remember to take notes.
Let me take a moment to describe an outdoor sport I would like to try for the first time. It is horse riding. I would love to ride a horse in the future. I've always admired the horse rider on television. I would just want to be like them because, after all, they are not only excellent at what they are doing, but also inspired other people, including me, to take up this sport. Horse riding is not only cool, but also give people a sense of freedom, as people can ride on the horse through the forest or on the beach, allowing people to feel at ease and have a peace of mind. Whenever I think of the moment of riding a horse, I couldn't help but feel a sense of refreshed and excitement and adrenaline.
Earlier we talked about describe an outdoor sport you would like to try for the first time. Now I will ask you some more questions related to this topic. Which is more dangerous, team sports or individual sports?
I believe that individual sport is more dangerous than team sports, because individual sports have in individual sports, the athletes have to rely on themselves. So if they ever encounter danger or difficulties, they have to rely on their own skills and judgment to survive. Whereas in team sports, despite the collision and close interactions, people have each other. They tend to care more about each other, and when the athletes get injured or casualties, the teammates will immediately rush to their side and help him out of the difficulties.
How does weather affect outdoor sports?
I think that outdoor weather significantly impact sport games, especially when it comes to outdoor sport and activities. In these sports, people tend to feel distracted because of the weather. For example, when it is rainy, the humidity and the wet playground distracts people from focusing on what they are doing, and their performance get worse. Apart from that, the bad weather is also a factor that impacts the players' health, making them feel unwell to perform their best in the game.
Which outdoor sports are popular with children?
I think that football is popular with children because it is the king sport. Boys tend to divide into two teams to compete each other, to get spaces and positions in the game. As a result, this competitive spirit is also passed down to the children, the next generation, making the children love the game and be inspired to love this sport as well.
What sports are popular among elderly people?
I believe that elderly people are more popular with intellectual sports such as playing chess. These sports allow elderly people to sharpen their mentality, and this helps them shapes their energy so that they can go through their day with energy and feel happy about their achievement in the sport.
How do you think teamwork influences safety in sports?
I think that teamwork allows safety to be increased. When a player gets injured, their teammate will immediately rush to their side and help the player with first aid. Apart from that, other teammates can call for 911 or the medical support when the injured player hurt themselves in the game. All in all, teamwork allows people to become safer.
Why do you believe weather impacts performance so much?
I believe that weather impacts performance to a lot, because when the weather is bad, the players are often go down with the performance. Yeah. Apart from that, the good weather can help people focus more on the game, allowing them to perform at their best.
How can children's competitive spirit affect their sports choices?
I think that children's competitive spirit affects their sports choices significantly. Those who are too competitive tend to choose sport choices that allows them to shine among the opponents, such as individual sports and team sports like football or basketball. Meanwhile, children who has less competitive spirit tend to choose static sports, such as sports that need the collaboration of players instead of competition. among the players.
Why do you think intellectual sports appeal to elderly people?
I think that intellectual sports affect people significantly. Intellectual sports appeal to elderly people because elderly people tend to deteriorate their mentality significantly, so they need a kind of sport to help them sharpen their mentality and mental well-being. Intellectual sports is a solution for older people as they can practice their mind and stay sober thanks to these sports.
Have you ever learned geography? How does weather affect outdoor sports?
I believe that weather affects outdoor sports significantly. First of all, bad weather makes player perform worse because they have to concentrate on their balance, so they tend to lose their focus on their goals. As a result, they tend to do worse in their performance. I believe that weather affects outdoor sports significantly. First of all, bad weather makes player perform worse because they. I believe that the weather affects outdoor sports significantly. First of all, if it is bad weather, players tend to perform at their worst because they tend to be distracted by rainy weather or cold weather. The extreme condition tend to distract the player as they have to focus on keeping their body warm and in good shape during the performance. When the weather is warm and favorable, it tends to help players focus better on the game as they only need to concentrate on their goals and their performance and perform at their best. I believe that the weather affects outdoor sports significantly. First of all, if it is bad weather, players tend to perform at their worst because they tend to be distracted by rainy weather or cold weather. The extreme weather significantly affects the outdoor sports. The reason is because in favorable weather, players tend to perform at their best without any distractions regarding their body and wind or rain. Meanwhile, in bad weather, players tend to lose their balance because of the rain, or they tend to be feel uncomfortable due to the humidity. Weather significantly affects the outdoor sports. The reason is because in favorable weather, weather can affect outdoor sports significantly. Weather tend to affect players' performance because they tend to be distracted by the cold and extreme conditions such as rain or cold weather. On the other hand, warm weather tend to make it favorable for players to perform at their best. Weather can affect outdoor sports significantly. Weather tend to affect outdoor sports significantly when it is good weather. People tend to focus better on the game and the goals without worrying too much about the temperature or the rain or the humidity. On the other hand, when it comes to bad weather, people tend to be affected by the rain and the coldness, making them lose focus in the game. Weather tend to affect outdoor sports significantly when it is weather tend to affect outdoor sports significantly. Favorable weather tend to support players to perform at their best. Meanwhile, bad weather tend to distract the player from focusing on the game or focusing on their performance. Weather tend to affect outdoor sports significantly. Favorable weather tend to support players to perform. Weather affects outdoor sports significantly. First of all, bad weather tend to affect outdoor sports significantly as it makes people be distracted from the sports. Apart from that, good weather tend to favor players as it allows player to be focused on the game and weather affects outdoor sports significantly. First of all, bad weather affects outdoor sports significantly. First of all, it makes outdoor good weather affects weather tend to affect outdoor sports significantly. First of all, bad weather tend to distract players from focusing on the game, making them distracted due to the bad temperature, humidity, or rain. Apart from that, favorable weather tends to support the player to be at their best as they can perform in a way that helps them become excellent. Weather tend to affect outdoor sports significantly. First of all, bad weather tend to distract players from focusing on the game, making them distracted due to the bad temperature, humidity, or rain. Apart from that, favorable weather tends to support the player to be at their best as they can perform in a way that helps them. Vâng. 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 Con làm xong hết rồi, con làm xong hết rồi. Đi ngủ rồi. Mẹ ăn hết à? Thế sao sót được ruột? Đến và ngủ đây.
Con biết là những người mà đánh máy chịu nhiều là hay bị yếu tim không? Cái bệnh ngày xưa
Thế thư ký là bị yếu tim hết à?
là bị mắc bệnh tim.
Vâng.